Hi, fellow believers in Christ. I just kind of got a new take on the faith as a grain of mustard seed thing that Jesus said in the Bible. And he was saying that we have the faith of a grain of mustard seed. We could move a mountain, and we could command a mountain to go into the sea, or could command a tree to be uprooted and planted in the sea. And he said that a little tiny grain of mustard seed, which is I don't know, like a millimeter big or something, um, can grow into this huge tree. And I always wondered how big a mustard seed tree really is, but apparently it is pretty big. Here's a picture of one. And you can see you could put several cows under that tree, and that is a very big tree. You could probably get at least 10 cows under there, at least. Anyway, um, so So I always thought this meant that you only need a little faith because obviously a grain of mustard seed is really tiny. So I thought Jesus was saying you only need a tiny amount of faith. But he kind of gave me a new take on it today. If you consider how small the mustard seed is to the tree, to becoming the tree, you would realize that as far as faith goes, that mustard seed is 100% full of it. It has to be. It has to be 100% full of faith in order to turn into a tree. If that mustard seed, like relatively percentage wise, only had a little bit of faith within itself, it could never make it to turn into a tree. It would probably just die and blow away in the wind. But everything that's in that mustard seed believes that it's going to be a tree, it's going to become a tree. And I guess that's how we get anywhere in life. We believe completely. And you know, when I graduated from college, when I first started going to college, I believed with everything in me that I was going to graduate. I had already made that determination when I started college. It was to graduate, and there was no way I wasn't going to do it. And even though, like, I had a problem learning foreign languages. Um, and since I was getting a Bachelor of Arts, it was required that you pass 203 of any foreign language class, which meant the spring term of second year of any foreign language class, which basically meant you had to take 2 years of a foreign language because you couldn't pass 203 if you hadn't already passed 101, 102, 103, 201, and 202. Does that make sense? Because you had to build on your learning. So you would have to take 2 full years of a foreign language to pass 203, which is the second year spring term. And so I knew that I had to do that to get a BA, and I knew I was going to do it to get the BA only because I was going to get the BA, and that's it. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. I was going to get that degree. But I always knew that foreign languages were a problem for me. And so it was really funny. I ended up graduating a year late because of the foreign language requirement. And I actually skipped, I chose Spanish because it's the easiest language to learn for English, for natural English speakers. So I strategically chose the easiest language that an English speaker could possibly have to learn. That's why I picked Spanish, not because I wanted to learn Spanish, but because it was the easiest. And because I knew that was where my learning disability was. And I tried taking it at the university when I was there. And I took a whole year of it in community college because it was easy at that level. But I didn't get my second year at the community college, so I had to take my second year at the university. Well, at the university, they were practicing full immersion, which means even your assignments are in that language, and all the lectures are in that language. So I couldn't understand anything. I can't learn by full immersion. Um, and so I ended up dropping out of Spanish 201 and there's no way I could take 202. I knew I couldn't learn that way. So I waited a whole full extra year after I had finished my university courses to wait until the following spring when I could take Spanish 203. I skipped 201 and 202 because I figure, you know what? It's so hard for me. Why put myself through all that misery for a solid year when the only class that I really have to pass is 203? So I didn't think it would be any easier if I skipped 201 and 202 because I was so bad at languages. I didn't think that those two classes would help me. And even looking back today, I believe that thinking was accurate. The foreign languages are so hard that if I had took 201 and 202, it really wouldn't have made a big difference as far as passing 203. So anyway, when I went to 203, I was failing everything. I did all my assignments. I showed up for all my classes, but I was flunking every assignment. And my teacher told me, she said, Maria, you really need to drop out of this class because you're going to end up failing it. It's going to ruin your GPA. And I told her, I don't have any choice. I have to play this roulette game because I can't get my BA unless I pass this class, which means I have to play it through, and if I end up failing, then next year I'm going to take it again, and the next year, and the next year, until I finally pass it. That's the game I have to play because I am going to graduate. And so I explained that to her, that there's no way I could drop out because then I know I won't graduate. But if I stay in, maybe by the grace of God, I'll pass. I'll get a D. All I was hoping for was a D so I could get my BA. And so, aiming for an A, hoping for a D just to pass. And so she, I don't know what she thought of me, but she realized there's no way I'm dropping out. Well, anyway, by long story short, I ended up taking, I had one free tutor through the college was allowed me. And so I got 2 tutor sessions a week for free. And then I paid another lady on the side to tutor me. So I paid for 2 tutor sessions a week on the side. So I had 4 tutor sessions a week. And I failed all the way through the midterm, I believe. And then it wasn't till after the midterm when something clicked in my brain, I finally realized how to conjugate verbs. And I was a horrible, horrible student. However, because I finally figured out how to conjugate verbs, I could get passing grades on all my other assignments. And in addition to that, I was allowed, I could go back and do a little makeup work. Now, up until the midterm, I was not only failing all the tests and assignments, but I went and did the remake tests. I showed up for the redos, and I failed those as well. I showed up because I knew I had to pass this class, and if I didn't pass this class, I was definitely going to take it the next year. So I'm like, I'm all in, I'm all in. I know I'm the dunce of the class, but I am not giving up until it's over and I get my F. Then I'll come back next year. So, so anyway, by the grace of God, after the midterm, I finally realized how to conjugate verbs, and I did a horrible job for the rest of the term. However, because I was passing and because the teacher saw how determined I was, I think she just had mercy on me and she gave me a B for effort. I really deserved a C minus, D plus, somewhere in there was the grade I had actually earned, but she gave me a B. God bless her. I think she didn't want my GPA to be ruined over the fact that I was a dunce. So anyway, back to the mustard seed thing. Everything in me was determined and in full belief that I was going to graduate from college. I had never had a doubt that I was going to graduate from college. The only thing I wasn't sure about was how many years it was going to take because I was not going to give up. And that's like the mustard seed. It has no doubt it's going to be a tree. I mean, if mustard seeds could think, it has no doubt it's going to be a tree. All of its DNA is telling it it's going to be a tree. just like with a caterpillar, all of its DNA is telling it it's going to be a butterfly. Um, and so it's really, it has 100% faith. It doesn't have a teeny ounce of faith within itself, like we think of with the parable, where if we only have faith as big as a mustard seed compared to us, we could speak to the mountain. But really, I have a new take on it today. We really need to have 100% faith. Now, that's no pressure, because in Christ, all things are possible. And He's the one who gives us the faith, and He's the one who gives us the grace to have the faith and to believe in the faith and having that faith. We can't muster it up in and of ourselves. So it can't come from our flesh. It can't come from self-will. So I'm not trying to pressure you or myself saying, oh, we got to sweat harder, to believe. That isn't going to work, because that's the flesh. But basically, when we believe, we have to believe all the way. Just like I believed all the way I was going to graduate from college. I just didn't know how many years it was going to take. I didn't know if it was going to take 10 years, 20 years, 15 years. I just knew I wasn't giving up until I graduated. And it was inevitable that at some point I would learn enough to pass that class, no matter how slow of a learner I was. So, and just like that mustard seed, it maybe doesn't know when it's going to be a tree, but it knows it's going to be a tree. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of faith that we need. And when I look back on my life, on the times where things happened that were very miraculous, I realized that at those times I really did have 100% faith. It wasn't just a tiny sliver of faith, it was full faith. There were some really amazing things that happened in my life, and I'm sure in yours too. But I do remember having full faith in those things happening. And so anyway, having the faith of a mustard seed, I have a new perspective on it now. It means that everything in you believes. Everything in you believes. It doesn't really mean that you have a little faith. It actually means percentage-wise you have 100% faith. Like it fills your being. It fills your being, and it's every fiber in you. And you're determined. You've made a decision in your heart and mind. You've made a decision that this is what's going to happen because God said so, and that's it. Like I had made a decision. I knew God was allowing me to go to college, and I knew it was His will for me to graduate, and that's all there was to it. I didn't need to know anything else, and I didn't need to know how long it would take. I knew it was going to happen. So anyway, it's just kind of neat. We have to believe 100%. It's not impossible because faith is a spiritual act. It's not an act of our human will. It's not an act of the flesh. So it's really not impossible because it's of God. And whatever is of God and from God and through God and by God isn't impossible. It's completely possible. So I hope that encourages you, and it encourages me too, because I'm going to start drawing closer to the Lord, and I've kind of made a commitment today that I've been slipping further away from the Lord lately, and I've been feeling myself slipping further away from the Lord in the last several weeks. I've been busy, and I've made a determination in my mind today that I'm going to get back to Him, being super, super close and super tight with Him. And anyway, and it won't be by willpower. It'll simply be by faith. I really believe that by His grace, I'm going to grow closer to Him. And He's already given me ideas on how to do that and how to get started in that direction. So anyway, God bless you, and may you have 100% faith.